Hey everybody, Ben Nelson, the everyday real estate investor here with another episode of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. I appreciate the support and hopefully you're getting a lot out of this from, I try to come at this with real estate, we're real estate investors, but there's a lot of life stuff that needs to get talked about too. And to just focus on real estate and strategy and all the nuances of that, that's all great. That's what, we're trying to do that in our businesses, but we need to stop and look at the philosophical side, the overall success principles side, all of that stuff as well. Because without that, we're not going to be as successful in our business as we could be. So, um, on that note, with that in mind, that is what we're going to jump into today. I am working on and continuing to line up some awesome guests for upcoming podcasts, but until then, you've got me. So I'm going to continue to put my thoughts out on the market, success habits, strategies, all of that stuff to fill in the guest spots. So hopefully you're enjoying that. I try to do kind of a mix of my thoughts, my comments, some of my things that I can draw from my own experience, and inviting great guests on. So, would love to hear your feedback on that. But that's kind of how the approach I've been taking so far. So, let's jump into it. Today, we're going to talk about having success in real estate and in life, because a lot of the things cross over; they're the same. You apply them differently in your maybe your life than you would in your real estate business, but they're the same kind of principles nonetheless. So I'm going to list off a few of these here, and I'm going to give you. I think I've got about 10 different habits or points to make here that will help you to have success in your real estate business and in life. Hopefully, these will make a difference for you. And as always, I always encourage people to think about these after the fact and give it some deep thought. So let's jump into it. I'm going to list these off, go over them one by one, and give you kind of some of my thoughts and insights as I do that. So here we go. The first thing, and I've mentioned this many, many times in other podcasts, conversations with other people, just different contexts, but clarity is super important in being successful in real estate and in life. You are not going to get what you want if you don't even know what it is that you want. Or maybe you will, but you won't even know, right? Because you have no idea what it is that you wanted in the first place. So the one of the first things you need to do is really get clarity on, what do you want real estate to do for you? What do you want your business to look like? What do you want your life to look like? Your daily activities, your habits. What do you want your health to be like? Um, all of the things that are important for us to have a good life, balance. Maybe that's not the right word, but to be successful in not just the sense of finance and having a lot of real estate, but just having that overall success and having um, that in all areas of your life, right? So clarity is super important, because if you don't clarify, then you can't put the steps in place and the waypoints and have all of those things thought out to be able to draw out a plan to get you there. Because again, you don't really know where you're going. How can you plan to achieve something that you don't really have a clear vision on what it is? And then on top of that, adding in the why, right? So it's great to have a clear vision. It's even better to have a clear vision of why you want to achieve that, because that is what is going to drive you. And again, I will put this out there as I always do. Just making a lot of money is not enough of a driver. Um, that's inward focused. Maybe you'd be able to use it for quite some time, but it's going to fade and it's going to be unfulfilling. And yeah, we all need to eat. We all need to survive. There's nothing wrong with being financially successful. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you need to find a deeper meaning than just that, and just whether that's survival at this point for you, or you have a big goal that you're working towards right now. So the money part can't be the only reason. It has to be serving people, or your family, or creating better communities, or improving neighborhoods, or that's all real estate related, I get. But whatever that is, whatever that is that drives you, make sure you understand what that is and keep that at the forefront. So, okay, next one, also very, very foundational to having success in both real estate and in your own life is having systems. How can you be successful if you don't know day to day what it is that you're needing to do, how to manage all of the things that are coming at you. There's so many things you could be doing with any hour, given hour, or any given minute of the day. And if you don't have systems in place to manage that time, to manage, your inflow of leads, to manage, phone calls and transactions, and the personal stuff, all the stuff with your family and finances and your health, you have to have systems in place, and you have to fight the chaos, because the chaos is going to take over if you do not have systems to manage the chaos. If you don't manage the chaos is going to manage you. So you need to have that in place. You need to be organized. You need to have systems and processes. And I am saying this from a place of, I have been in a place where basically none of that in place, and it is so stressful. It's you just have all these things coming at you, and you can't handle nearly as much as you could if you were more organized and had more systems. And I am absolutely not perfect at this point. I'm continuing to improve that and add systems and take systems away, so there's not redundancy. And systems are great, but too many systems and tools and things like that is also not a good thing. So I'm refining that myself. But the point is to be working towards that. And if you think you can manage anything of scale, or anything for a long period of time without having those in place, you're going to find out the hard way that's not the case. So you have to have systems. Okay, next one. Focus on what you are uniquely good at and find help for the rest. This is key, uh, especially in your business. And you can find places where this works in your personal life too, but especially in your business. uh, you can't do everything. And I know the entrepreneurial, um, the whole, like, wearing all of the hats and doing all the things, and I get it. There's seasons where have to go through that when you're growing, or you have, don't have the capital or whatever. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, pull up your bootstraps, and as they say, and you got to just put in the time and effort, and you do have to do all of it. But um, eventually your goal should be to get to the point, if you can't today, where you can find help for the things that you aren't uniquely the best at. You can hire, you can partner, you can outsource. There are all sorts of things that you can do to offload those things that you are not good at, and that aren't honestly what you should be spending your time on, right? If you can do something that is going to create a certain value, and you're doing tasks that are creating less than that value, then you shouldn't probably be doing those tasks. And there's other people that can probably do them better than you, and more efficiently than you. And then you're freed up to do the things that are going to create the higher value and bring in the revenue, right? So um, don't feel like you have to do everything. Don't have the mindset of I got to save the money, or I just have to do it all, or gosh, just being so controlling that only I can do it, and only I can do it the best. No, you can't. You can't. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. You can do a handful of things really, really well, and the rest of it you shouldn't be doing. You think you can do it better than you can do it, and somebody else should be doing it. That's the truth. And the other thing here is that I saw an interesting infographic from, it was on Visual Capitalist, and man, it was showing the mental health condition, um, for entrepreneurs. And I'm looking at it right here. I'm going to share it. If you're watching on YouTube, it's going to pop up here. If you're listening on just iTunes or Spotify or something, check it out on YouTube. Or on my social media, I'll share it as well. But it shows your likelihood to have depression or addiction or bipolar disorder uh, is so much higher in entrepreneurs than it is in non-entrepreneurs. Depression, 30% versus 15%. Addiction, 12% versus 4%. Three times as likely. Bipolar, 11% versus 1%. And this is from a study that they did. And I don't know who did it. A Visual Capitalist put this data out there. But the point is that this is a trend, right? As entrepreneurs, apparently you're more likely to be depressed and addicted, right? And there's maybe a lot to that, but I would venture to guess that a big part of that is um, not managing the chaos, not having those systems in place, not focusing, because the last two kind of tie together, right? Having systems and focusing on what you're uniquely good at, and delegating, finding help for the rest, right? Man, if you're trying to do all of that and you don't have systems in place, and if you're doing both of those things where you are trying to do everything all yourself without getting help, and you don't have any systems in place, um, man, I think that would lead me to depression and addiction, because that's a lot to try to take on as an entrepreneur. So, I'm not saying that that's the only reason for that, the only source of that. I would say that these things contribute to that for sure. So don't let that be you. Have the right things in place, have systems and tools to help you find great help, to take that burden off of you, and bring people on that are great at doing their part, and you can do your part. Okay, I'm going to get into a little bit more of the mindset side, versus kind of the first three were more, logistical, setting yourself up, the foundation, that sort of thing. There's a few mindset things we need to talk about here too. So the first one, and I've mentioned this in prior podcasts, I'm sure, is, people are afraid of failure, and they're afraid of putting themselves out there, and they tie their success to, um, getting the result that they're after, right? I am going to go out and I'm going to have a listing appointment. And if I don't get the listing, then I have failed. I'm going to go out and I'm going to propose buying this property. And if they say no, then I've failed, right? And so we need to get past this, and we need to remember that success is out there taking action and doing the things that you need to do on a daily basis to be successful. You can't control what other people do. You can't control their reaction. You can't control their decisions. Uh, you can only control what you put out there, putting it out there to the best of your ability, showing them why it would make sense for them to do whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do business with you. And that's what you can. That's all you can do. You can't make them say yes. You can't make them do what you're asking them to do. So you need to tie your success to you taking action and to following through on what you needed to do. Success upon delivery, one of my mentors likes to call it. You're delivering your portion. That's where your success is in you doing that. And then what happens after that is not of consequence. Now, I know that obviously if you are always putting things out there and you get no every time, um, that means that you're not eating, right? So you're not bringing in revenue if you don't get yeses. So I'm not saying that you don't need to get better, that you don't need to take feedback, you don't need to debrief and say, hey, why am I getting these no's? Um, but you don't want to beat yourself up about it, right? And you don't want to tie that success so much to the outcome that you just feel like a failure every time. Because if you're out there doing what you're doing and putting out questions of proposition, and maybe even ridiculous questions of proposition that it's like no one would say yes to this, but I know someone will. If you're tying success to the outcome, every time you ask that question, you are just pounding yourself into the ground with all these no's. And so that's what you're trying to avoid, is you're just trying to keep that positive mindset of, hey, I did what I was supposed to do. I asked the question and they said no, but I did what I was supposed to do. And so on to the next one, right? So that's the point there. Okay. And then this kind of goes along with it, but there's a different little twist on it. But having an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. So abundance mindset says the opportunity is out there. Someone's going to say yes. Uh, you know, you're not worried about competition, right? In the sense is like there's not enough to go around. Um, you have a collaborative mindset, working with others, trying to have win-win situations, things like that, versus a scarcity mindset there's not enough. Um, Someone else has got to lose for me to win. All of that stuff. So again, real estate and in life, abundance mindset is just you're going to be a lot more positive. You know that you can go out there and create and find what you need to find, no matter what the economy is doing. You know that when you're talking to someone, you don't have to have them lose for you to win. You can make an agreement that's a lot more fun to create, honestly, that they win and you win, and everybody leaves happy. So that's what we want to create. And that's, as I'm building my team with my real estate brokerage, and I'm trying to bring on agents, and that is my biggest thing when I'm talking to potential agents to join the team is maybe not the biggest, but it is absolutely one of the biggest when we have that conversation. And I always have that conversation. Um, directly or indirectly, just depending on who I'm talking to and how the conversation goes. But I want to know that they have that abundance mindset, the cutthroat, agents taking business from each other, and not willing to work together or collaborate or share information, or just kind of hoarding leads or whatever. All of that, that's not work. No, that's not going to work here. I'm sorry. We're going to work together. We can do more together. We can help each other. We want to celebrate your win, because that's great. And then you celebrate my win. That's how we do it, right? We work together. We encourage each other. We lift each other up. We don't want to have this combative environment between agents that we're supposed to be on the same team, right? So that's such an important quality for me as I'm looking at that. So that's how much I believe in that part is if I sense that someone has a scarcity mindset, they're not going to be a fit for the team, and that's fine. Hopefully they can figure out that mindset shift at some point, but I need people that are abundance mindset and are willing to share and collaborate and all that stuff. So um, this is also on a similar note. The next one is people first, profits second. And I'm trying to think of how I could relate this to life and not just real estate. I know that there's something there, so I'll come back to that. But in real estate, man, it is so easy to, when eat what you kill, so they speak. Um, so they say you're if you don't do a deal, if you don't sell a property, it's really easy to focus on the profit. It's really easy to focus on that commission check that's going to come in. It's really easy to say, man, I need this deal to go through, and I normally would probably say something about this to my client, but if I do, I might jeopardize this sale. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're asking those questions, you need to check yourself, and you need to get back to the people first, because I get it. I have been there, and you need that thing to close. But I've never regretted bringing something up, and sometimes it costs you a sale, but in the end, it's one sale. Are you gonna be focused on one sale? And again, I get it. If you need to eat this week and you need that sale to close, I understand. But it's don't be short sighted. Uh, it only takes one time to ruin your reputation. It takes years and years to build it, and one bad decision based on your own needs uh, to squash that reputation. So don't do it. Um, Always put your clients first. Always put the people on the other end first. Always put the sellers that you're buying property from first. And I know that some of you are hearing that, and you're thinking, well, if I put them first, then I'm not going to make any money, because I'm thinking about what they need. Well, I'm not saying think about what they need to your detriment, okay? But what I am saying is, um, consider what their situation is, consider what they're after, and that's how you create win-win solutions, and that's how you actually get more yeses, is because you're listening to what they need and what they want, and then you can match that with something that works for you, versus just kind of throwing out a scenario that works for you. You have no idea if it works for the seller, and you're just going to burn through a lot of conversations and a lot of leads that way, because you're just kind of doing the shortcut, right? You're shotgunning it instead of um, really crafting something that is um, meeting someone where they're at, right? And that also works for you. So um, always put people first. Always put clients first. Profit is important. It's what keeps the lights on in your business. It's what feeds you and your family. So it's important, but don't put it at the detriment of the people that you're working with, right? So your reputation is it's not worth that throwing that away. Okay, I have this one on here. I actually don't remember putting this one on here, but I'm going to go for it. So, working through doubt. Wow. Okay, let's see where does this go? Let's see. We have doubt in the real estate market right now, right? We have people can go through doubt with big things in life, right? I've gone through a kind of a journey myself here this first quarter, just with some personal things, and it's just like it's really easy to start going down that road of like of doubt in so many ways. Like what am I doing this for? What is what's the purpose? What's where's the market going to go? Is it going to crash? Am I going to lose all this? Am I going to have my business um, you know just totally crash on me? um what do I do? And those are natural thoughts. The thing is you don't want to dwell in those, right? It's actually I think okay and even healthy to go through those periods of time where you ask some of those really deep important questions and work through those and wrestle with them, because I think in the end it makes you stronger, and it just reinforces why you're out there doing what you're doing every day, or it helps you maybe figure out what you're not doing that you should be doing, and maybe shifts your mindset and sends you in a different direction in your life. So the worst thing you can do is not go through that and just keep doing what you're doing and have it be the wrong thing. So um, doubt's not a bad thing. The thing is the thing that makes it bad is when you let it stop you from taking action. So if you're doubting the market, if you're doubting your ability to be successful, if you're doubting your skills, you have to push through that. It's okay for it to be there, um, but don't let it stop you from taking action. You have to take the action. You have to push through that doubt. Um, everyone has that to some degree, and you look at people that are uber successful. I guarantee you they have doubts. May not be the same ones that you wrestle with, but it's there. It's there. We just they don't talk about it, or we just obviously we focus on in this world of media, social media, and putting your best foot forward out there all the time, and this is my amazing life and all that. It's really easy to just see that side of it, and not the things that people are battling with. So don't think you're alone. Don't think you're the only one doubting or having those fears or whatever. It's very common, and everybody's going through some version of it. So just don't feel alone in that if you're in it. Okay. Let's get back to these other ones. I wasn't sure where I was going to go with that. Hopefully that was helpful to somebody out there. This one's been big for me the last quarter especially. Um, Sometimes you just don't feel it. You just don't feel like doing what you need to do. And you feel like doing a bunch of stuff that is not in your best interest and is not healthy for you, and is not going to lead you down the right path. And so doing what you don't want to do, even when you feel like don't feel like doing it, right? You're doing what you don't want to do, but you should be doing, and not doing what you want to do, but isn't the right choice. This is a huge thing in life for sure, and in real estate, right? Are we going to always feel like picking up the phone and making cold calls? Probably not. Some people it's easier than others, but there's probably a lot of things you could probably do that's a lot easier than that, right? Are you always going to want to get up early and work out and get your body moving? And man, it hurts sometimes, right? So, but it's what's healthy for your body. Are you going to always want to eat the foods that you should be eating and drink the drinks that you should be drinking? Or are you wanting to, or should, or do you, eat your ice cream and your pizza and drink your beer every night, right? So, um, we know what the right choices are. And it doesn't mean that we always make them, but the point is that you don't have to make the choices. Like, I think we feel like we're trapped sometimes, and it's like, well, this is just these are the choices that I make, and I know they're not the right choices, um, but this is just who I am. You don't have to make those choices, okay? You have the choice. And on the flip side, it's like, you know, I know I should be doing this, but I'm not. Well, you make the choice, do it. And I posted the other day, it might have been just yesterday, the other day, but um, it was a quote from David Goggins. And if you don't know who he is, uh, you know, just maybe earmuffs on kids if they're if they're listening to the clip, because he does use some colorful language quite often, but he gets his point across. And it was a clip from an interview with on the Joe Rogan's podcast, and he was saying, I think a lot of people just think that I'm like some god or I'm some superhero or something, and that I just have something that they don't. And he's like, I don't I don't want to do it either. Like, I get up and I look at my and I encourage you to go back and watch the clip, because he says it in a lot better way than I do, again with a colorful language. Um but man, he's motivating, right? So he's like, man, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Sometimes I get up and I look at my shoes, and for 30 minutes before I put them on to get up and run. And I'm telling myself, hey, David, people look up to you. You got to get up and do this, and it's like, forget them. Like, who cares about them, right? And this is the stuff he's going through in his head. And this is a guy that lots of people look up to for motivation and inspiration, and for getting out there and pushing hard and doing the things that you need to do. And he's telling everybody that he has that struggle. He doesn't want to do it, but he does it because it's the right choice, and it's what's pushing him to be a better version of himself. So just encouragement there, I think, in that if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with making bad choices, you don't have to make those choices. Don't live in that space, and just give yourself permission to continue down that road. Give yourself grace, but don't give yourself permission to continue in destructive habits. And on the flip side, even if you don't feel like doing it, do it. Get out there and do it. And you know what? When you take that action and you get out there and do it when you don't feel like doing it, that's you get that like sense of accomplishment that you did something that you didn't want to do and that was difficult. And then you ride that wave, right? And then you do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Versus the other side of that is you continue on the destructive habits, and one bad choice leads to another, and now you're downward spiral. So don't go down the downward spiral. Ride the wave of the positive actions. Okay, awesome. I got a couple more, and then we'll wrap it up here. So this one's super important. No matter what you've done, you always have to keep a student mindset. And the most successful people in the world know this and continue to learn. You look at people like Robert Kiyosaki, and if he's ever at an event or listening to anything, like, he is always taking notes. He is always trying to learn. That guy knows a ton and has taught a lot of people. And that's just one example, but he is he's always learning, and I'm always learning. And people that are highly successful are always learning and having that mentality that, hey, I don't know everything, that's for sure. So I got to keep my game on top of my game. I got to keep learning new things. And the world is changing so quickly all the time that if you're not learning, you're falling behind. So that absolutely applies to real estate and life for sure. And then this last one here, again, really, really kind of reaffirmed in the last quarter here for me. And that's keeping perspective of what's really important. A big part of being successful is just having that perspective and remembering that, you know what, um, there's nothing wrong with trying to build wealth, and there's nothing wrong with trying to own a bunch of real estate and help a bunch of clients and put yourself out there and be successful in that sense. But what is really important is hopefully something more than that. For me, absolutely my family. Yeah, providing for them, but just being there for them, and being present in their lives, being present when we have activities or family time, and being there on a regular basis. And for me, um, I've chosen to um, work less often. I work hard and I work quite a bit, but I work less than other people too. I mean, you could take people that work less than me, and I probably fall right in the middle, right? But um, I'm not willing to do 12-hour days every single day, every week. I'm not willing to do that, um, because I will miss out on what's most important to me, and that's my family. So, um, all of the money in the world, all the success, quote unquote, of worldly wealth and all that stuff is not worth it if I'm missing out on what's going on in my family, and watching my kids grow up and being with my wife and all of that. So that's what's most important. You got to get out there and do business and drive revenue and do all of those great things to be able to, put food on the table and have those experiences with your family and all of those things. But at the end of the day, that's what's important, and that's been in an unfortunate way, just kind of thrown to the forefront of my mind here this last quarter. So I'm going to end it with that one. Know what is most important to you. Keep that in perspective with whatever you're doing. Have clarity in what it is that you want to accomplish and what's most important to you and your why. Get those systems in place, all of that stuff. Make sure you take some time. I hope you took some notes, and go back and especially the ones that are more of a question than just kind of a statement. I want you to ask those questions for yourself, and really get uh, down deep in yourself and get that clarity of vision. Start figuring out your systems. Figure out what you're uniquely good at and what you need to start outsourcing. All of those things. So, thanks for listening. Hopefully, this was helpful to you. Make sure you tune in next time. I don't know if there's going to be a guest on next time, but it'll be either an awesome guest, or we'll continue to talk about real estate and success and the market and whatever else is top of mind for the week. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.